Welcome everyone to this Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync. Yes, this is the same call you've always known, now with 100% extra Viva Connections. We are looking forward to our call for the day with 3 amazing rock stars. First, we're going to cover the latest update on SharePoint Framework, along with patterns and practices updates around a number of initiatives, including PnPjs, CLI from Microsoft 365, reusable PnP SPFx controls, and new community samples, and of course, the always popular optional picture time with Together mode. So we look forward to that. And then we'll get into the Showtime stars. Sudharsan, Derek Cash-Peterson, and Amory will cover a number of items for us. The first being SPFx Extension for copying and moving list items. We're going to see an adaptive card showcase gallery via Viva Connections with Derek, and an Application Secrets Expiration Web part with Amory. So we look forward to that. Let's talk a little bit about the opportunities to participate in PnP and this special interest group call. We have a number of demo opportunities, and we welcome everyone who would like to show off some of the samples that they've created to share that with the community via demos on this call. It could be a web part, application customizer, provisioning, anything you've created. It could be something you learned that you wanted to share with the community. We're open, and we actually have a demo spot request URL that you can fill out, and we will get back to you. So it makes it easy for you to be able to join. Additionally, we have a number of opportunities to contribute on GitHub. Now, contributions can come in many forms. This could be reporting issues, submitting pull requests, helping with issues and questions, and we'll talk about how, if that's new to you, how you can get help in learning all of that. And of course, we invite you to provide feedback. Are there things that you would like to see changed, improved, added to? We invite all feedback, whether it be positive or constructive, but we do want it to stay happy. So please provide that feedback, and we'd love to learn more from you. All right, now, what are some of the assets and resources that are available to you in our community? The first 2 columns here are our community and developer videos. You can get to them all, including calls like this and demos created by Microsoft and those in the community, all recorded, available for you to watch on demand anytime you want via those 2 URLs. We also have a number of open source initiatives via the GitHub sites of SharePoint, PnP, Office Dev, Microsoft Graph, and more. You can visit all those to learn more about those resources and how you can contribute and utilize them. And of course, as we mentioned, if you're creating samples, we would love to see them in our sample galleries. We have a plethora of sample galleries spanning from Teams to Power Platform, SPFx web parts and extensions, list formatting, ACEs, which you're going to see some samples of today. But you don't need to remember all those URLs, only one, aka.ms/M365PnP. Now, as we talk about additional community calls, the newest call is the Tuesday Microsoft Platform call. Now, this is an incredible opportunity because all of the demos in this are coming directly from Microsoft, all available for you to learn directly from those that are making the magic happen within Microsoft. So if you don't already have this on your calendar, you can go to the link on the screen there, aka.ms/M365-dev-call. And next week, you're going to see an introduction to SharePoint on-premise Microsoft Graph Connector, pretty cool, and a 3rd part in a series with Waldick and Vesa around extending Viva Connections with application customizers. So if you haven't already seen the first 2 parts, they are available via recording. Go watch them, and you'll be prepped for this 3rd part in the series. Exciting, exciting stuff. Now, if you would like to get involved, but there's been some, I don't know, hurdles or a little fear for you, we invite you to come take advantage of the Sharing is Caring initiative. Now, this is an initiative that provides hands-on guidance in a safe space opportunity for you to learn how to do things like create your first pull request, or maybe you do want to contribute by providing a demo on these calls, but you're not quite presented enough to feel confident. We got your back. These sessions are, again, live, hands-on, safe space. They're not recorded, so you can feel safe and confident that you can come with any questions you want. And they are presented by members of the community as well as members of the patterns and practices. And we're going to walk you through how to do all of it. Many are hands-on. So we are working on a Viva Connections adaptive card extension multi-part series, and that's coming soon. We're working on that right now. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we also have the ever popular AMAs. We are actually going to start recording a portion of those, just the beginning with the maintainers and guest hosts are going to be talking about some of the new features that are available. So that way everyone can contribute and take advantage of those. And then we'll have an open forum that's not recorded afterwards, so you can still come and know that you can confidently ask those questions. aka.ms/sharing is caring. Of course, we want to celebrate all the amazing work that you do in the community. And so therein lies our newest recognition program. Now, this is a program that is powered by Credly. You may say, is that the same Credly that gave me my badge for my certification for Microsoft? Absolutely. It is formal. It is official. It is available to you at no cost. We cover the cost to get you those badges. We've got a number of them in the pipeline. Some are going to be going out again this week, and more to those that have registered. There's going to be the independent publisher connector. We just created a script samples. We're working on an SPFx. Hacktoberfest is still going out for those that contributed in October. Again, absolutely free. You can tie it to your LinkedIn profile. You can put it on your website, share it on Twitter. Super powerful. It is a great way. They sit right alongside all of your Microsoft certification badges, and we formally and officially recognize the work you're doing and want you to keep it up. Our way of saying thank you. So please don't hesitate to register, aka.ms/M365PnP-recognition. Now let's turn it over to Vesa for a little bit on the SharePoint framework, latest from SharePoint engineering.
Yep, a few updates on this side. So one of the things what we released this week is an updated guidance for our partners and potentially actually customers as well on how to implementing a Viva connection offerings or with an ACE and a secured Azure AD hosted API. So this is basically a it is a code sample, documentation, and 4 different videos which are explaining how to implement the Azure AD secured web API and how to then call that in a secured way from the Viva connection adaptive card. And also how to do this in a multi-tenant way. So basically, if you're building a SaaS partner offering for Viva Connection, this would be the way to do that. You would also take advantage of the multi-tenant registration option if you would, for example, have multiple tenants which you want to call the same API, which is secured in Azure AD. Obviously, the guidance actually also applies if you can adapt the guidance if you use a single tenant registration in Azure AD for the application or the web API, which is securely hosted there. But check it out, really good guidance and now available with a sample code. We will cover this one, by the way, in one of the upcoming platform calls in Tuesday. I think it's not the next one or the week after that. We'll talk about this one in there. Now let's go to the following slide. Quick update on the metrics. We had a pretty long break on showing the metrics on SPFx or SharePoint Framework usage, but just out of curiosity, it's showing you where we are. We do not show exact numbers, but this is basically the daily users who are using custom third-party SharePoint Framework components in Microsoft 365, and we are hitting tens of millions monthly active users in this section. I can't go to exact number details because we haven't shared those publicly, but we are in millions and millions and millions of daily active users for this. And all-time record, by the way, was happening this week on Tuesday. We can pretty much expect now that Thanksgiving is coming next week. We will see a small dip right now, then it goes slightly up just before Christmas, and then it goes again down for the holiday season, and then it goes again back on the normal growth level in January. It's a relatively normal annual, let's say, movement. But let's go to the following slide. Not a massive amount of movements on the roadmap slide. We will release the 1.13 1.1 version relatively soon. That's going to address some of the dialogue issues which we had in 1.13. Nothing critical, but there was some, if you're using a dialogue components, you might actually run into a certain issue, and that's going to be addressed in 1.13.1. And 1.14 beta is coming relatively soon as well. And there's a lot of cool stuff available there. I will share the dates and updates immediately when we have all of that locked for future. But that's it from my side. Let's move forward.
Thanks, Vesa. All right, let's move on to PnP JS client-side libraries, and we'll hand it over to Julie.
Hey, thank you. So earlier this week on Monday, we pushed out our timeline for the 2.1 release. So that happened Monday instead of last Friday. There was a fix for the set stream content chunked. We had made some major fixes for that in the V3 code base. So we pushed those into the V2 code base. The iComment info was fixed so that it's now a partial to fix some issues with adding comments. We added a primary channel call for creating a primary channel on a team to the graph endpoint, and Jake Stanger updated the documentation for creating your own custom bundle. So that all happened in the version 2.1 release. Version 3 is just moving along like gangbusters. We did an Ask Me Anything earlier this week on Tuesday. That went really well. And I think everybody was pretty excited about what Patrick did a lot of demoing of some of the V3 code and what had changed there. And that seemed to go over pretty well. People were pretty interested. We are really close. We have 15 tests that are left not passing, and they are very isolated to certain chunks of the code. There's issues with setting column defaults, which is one of those areas that is a reverse engineered section of our code base. So some things left there, but in general, the whole library is working, and we are still doing those nightly builds. So please check out issue 1636. It's pinned to the top of our issues list. It has a walkthrough step-by-step on getting started with version 3 in the SharePoint framework or in Node. So you can check that out. And if you're watching our Twitter feed, which is M365 PnPjs, you'll see that someone who joined the Ask Me Anything has already tried converting one of his projects and said it went really well and everything was working great. So that was exciting to see somebody try. And yes, Jim Duncan, nightly. We are doing a nightly build. So if there's PRs that get merged in that night, there will be a new build. So that is updating continuously. And so that is all I have for today. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Moving into CLI for Microsoft 365, there's a new preview available with 4.2, SPFx Doctor supporting SPFx 1.13. This is one of those magical features. A number of other settings here that are features that we see are available with your preview. You can install that npm install using @next, and you can always see all of the release notes at pnpgithub.io/CLI-Microsoft 365. Take a look at that. Moving into SPFx reusable components, React Controls 3.4.0 is available with 3.5.0, including SPFx 1.13 support coming soon for both the controls and the property controls. We see 3.30 is coming soon for the property controls. So a special thanks to all those contributors. We always appreciate all of the contributions from everyone and invite you to always reach out if you'd like to contribute yourself. You can learn more about these controls at the links in your chat, as well as the links there on the screen. Moving into Modern Search, I see Mikhail on the call. Did you want to cover that?
Yeah, nothing to report, same as last time. We had an October release a couple of weeks ago. Now corrected the links on this slide. So head over and pull the October release. And we have, I think, 8 or 9 outstanding PRs to process for the next release. So we'll try to do a November release, but I can't promise, but at least we'll do one in December.
Awesome, thank you. And there is a AMA coming in January. We're already planning ahead for that for PnP Modern Search. So if you love search, we know everyone does.
Yeah, we also have 2 webcasts in December on PnP Cast. One for the novice people and one for the advanced people using these reports. Me and Frank Corning.
Awesome. Thanks, Mikhail. So definitely lots of PnP search love. Take advantage of those opportunities. They're a great way to learn and get access to the men behind the scenes and the men and women that are doing all that work. Let's move into the PnP SPFx samples, and we'll hand it over to Hugo.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So on the SPFx sample side, we have 2 repositories where we accept SPFx Extension samples and web part samples. You can see the URLs there, aka.ms/SPFx extensions and aka.ms/SPFx-web parts. We don't have any new extensions, so that's why we have a sad emoji there. But on the web part side, we have a new /updated sample from Marcus Moeller, which is a Teams graph upload as PDF. It's that you can see the animated GIF there. It's very cool. You can actually just drag a file and then upload a document. It's SPFx 1.13, so a lot of our samples are now becoming or being updated to the latest version of SPFx, which is very exciting. We also have a couple new things that I wanted to talk about. The first thing is we know that the repository is gigantic, and for you to clone the entire repository is somewhat painful if all you want is a very tiny little sample. So we are starting to add the feature where in the sample itself, there's a link for you to download that solution as a zip file. So you don't have to clone the entire repository, you can just download the solution. The other thing that we've started to do is all these cool sample demos that you're doing, we're going to tie them back into the sample README. So you'll be able to actually follow along at home as you watch the video. And one last thing I wanted to point out, I just wanted to reiterate that with all the PnP repositories, keep in mind that the people who are helping maintain these repositories are volunteers. I know I work for Microsoft, but this work is volunteer work for me. So please be kind, please be courteous, and just understand that if your pull requests don't get processed immediately the second you hit submit, people have everyday jobs. We are super excited to see your contributions. We look forward to processing your pull request, but please be patient with everyone. Thank you, everyone, for contributing. I look forward to seeing more samples from you. Back to you, David.
All right, and lastly but not leastly is our ACES repository, aka.ms/SPFx-ACES. We have a new one from Arjit on hybrid work employee check-in. Awesome. Take advantage of that. Go check it out. It's available for download. And the upcoming events has been updated by Jake with a little information and improvement in the code. Again, open for more contributions. We are getting moving on our Viva Connections ACES session for sharing is caring. So that, like I said, is going to be a multi-part series to make sure that you can take full advantage. So we're not trying to shove too much in 1 hour at a time. So definitely thank you for everyone who is contributing, and we are open for more contributions. Don't hesitate to reach out if you'd like to learn more. Now it's time for our optional picture time. So if you'd like, share your camera.
Yes. 1 second, camera on. I will share my screen and we'll capture again a group photo. 50 first people who have camera on will get to the photo. You should be seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
Let's wait 1 more minute. We can see a few ghosts in the back row and the second back row. Oh, there we go. Now that was not a ghost. So let's wait a few more seconds, 20 seconds. We'll fill in the spots. I can see some youngsters as well on the second row. That's just really cool. And let me enable the camera if I'll get there. I think we are hitting the maximum. So let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thanks everybody for joining. Awesome to see again this many people joining on this calls, and really cool to see you live. This is really cool. Thanks everybody. Cheers. We're going to capture a GIF animation that as well. Thank you. Good.
Awesome. Thanks everybody. David. Excellent. Thanks, Vesa. All right, let's get back into our demos. So we're going to begin with Sudharshan on the topic SPFx Extension for copying and moving list items. Sudharshan, take it away.
Thank you, David. Let me share my screen. Hi, everyone. My name is Sudharshan Kesavanarayanan. I am a Microsoft MVP working as a software architect at NTT. And these are my couple of my social links and my YouTube channel. You can follow me here. So today we are going to see extension which is called a copy or move items, where this extension will help to copy or move items between the list, which is not available by out of the box. So I have just made a sample extension of this, and I have also uploaded this package in Microsoft App Store. So whoever wants to try it out, they can directly download it from the App Store. So a couple of features. So this extension will work only within the site. As of this is the first version, it works only within the site. Cross-site copy or list items is not supported. And automatic mapping of fields. When you choose the destination list, automatically the fields, if the fields are having internal names are same, it will automatically map, and based on the data type. You can also choose whether which are all the fields to be copied or moved. And not all the field types are supported. Only single line of text, choice, number, date, time, and yes or no fields are supported. And for copying or moving the list items, I'm using the batch method. So it is performance related. So it's quite performance. Okay, some of the supporting artifacts I have used PnP SP and PnP Graph NPM module, and I have also used React and React hooks and Lodash. So these are all some of the supporting artifacts. So now let us move on to the demo. So as you can see, I have already installed the extension. Sorry about the name. It's called Items Replicator. So this extension will work where you can copy all the items in the list, or you can also select a particular list items and then you can copy it. So I have already created a sample list, which is the duplicate of this list, which is called a customer list test, and this is customer list. So when you click on this items replicator, it will display with the source and the destination info. The source info, it will display the item count. So the color code is based on the number of items present in the source info. If it is below 4,000 or between 4,000 to 5,000, and if it is greater than 5,000, there are different colors. And likewise, if you choose the destination list, so I'll also displaying the item count. So once the destination list is chosen, automatically the source field, whichever the supported field types, will be mapped to the destination fields. As I said earlier, if the fields have the internal name and data type matches, then it will automatically gets mapped. And if the specific field is not present in the destination list, it will automatically be disabled. And you will also be able to map. You can also change the mapping based on the type. For example, if you are just mapping more than one field, then you will get a warning. So once you have mapped the fields, just confirm the mapping, and you will be provided with two options, copy or move. So when you click on copy, so automatically the items are copied over to the destination list. So for example, so here the items are copied. So all the values, everything is copied here. Move is pretty much same. On the back end, I am just copying the item from this source to the destination, and then I am just deleting the items. So in case if you want to restore the items are available in the recycle bin so that you can restore it to the source list. So as I said, I have also uploaded this in the Microsoft App Store, so you can just get it directly from there. So moving on to the code. So just a couple of information. First thing is on execute method, I'm just passing a couple of information like a list, site information, and a number of fields. And if the items are selected, I'm just sending the item IDs, selected item IDs. And here I have used the app base class, creating a dialog class. So here I have used the base dialog and created my own dialog with the custom component. And the main thing is the helper file where the copy or move items. I have just given the batch size as 50. So for example, if you are copying more than 50 or thousands of items, then each and every batch, it will run in a 50. It will run in a batch. Per batch, only 50 items will be copied or moved. So I'm just breaking the items in chunk, and then for each and every chunk, I'm just updating and then passing it to a batch. So this is how I have done it for copy and also for the move items. So that's it. Back to you, David.
Awesome, Sudarshan. Thank you very, very much. That is very well received. Some applause and thumbs up. Well thought out on the double usage there. So thank you for sharing that. And again, it is available in the app source as well as the repository for the SPFx extension. So multiple ways to take advantage of that. Thank you for putting it in both locations. All right, let's move on to Derek Cash-Peterson from SYMPRAXIS, Viva Connections Adaptive Card Showcase Gallery, collection of amazing aces. Derek, take it away.
All right, thanks, David. So I have a couple of things that I want to show on the slide first. So as David said, I'm going to show an adaptive card showcase gallery that I created. I'm Derek Cash-Peterson. I work at SYMPRAXIS Consulting. I've just newly joined the PnP team, and I helped David curate the samples for the ACEs repo, as well as do some of the code maintenance on learning pathways. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I built and why I did it. So first, I wanted to really use this as an opportunity to show the art of the possible with ACEs from a visual perspective. And so I focused on the adaptive card layouts over functionality. So it's really focused on the templates and being able to quickly and easily show someone who's maybe not so technical what you can do with ACEs, and then go on the back end and sort of build it out later. And it's available in the repo with an SPFx file, so you don't need to build anything. You can just download the file and then upload it to the gallery, to the app catalog. So all the data that you're going to see in here right now, it stands alone, and they're all JSON-based data structures. So, there's no backend connection to SharePoint. There's no backend connection to List, but you can certainly add that. There's a services layer that helps you do that. And finally, rather than reinvent the wheel from a UI perspective, I went ahead and I used the adaptive card samples gallery as my starting spot. I took some liberties and sort of made them a little more SharePointy, or added some different navigation elements, but I really used that as my core nugget to start with. Okay, so what's included in the adaptive card extensions? There's 11 different adaptive card extensions, and they're each it's packaged as one big bundle, but they're all standalone. All the code for them is standalone. So I created an agenda extension, a company news, an expense report, flight itinerary, a sample for forms, an image rotator, stock ticker, a list of tasks that you can edit with, a Twitter card, a video card, and a weather card. And sort of each of these show different elements, and I tried to really focus and use different components. So some are picture, some are text, some are just the basic card. So I really wanted to show a broad spectrum of the different ones that are out there. Okay, so what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to try to focus on the video card, as well as really look at what the different components are and how I got there. All right, so enough of that. So this is my dev tenant, and this is, if you can see over here on the right hand side, this is the dashboard, and I put all 11 of them in the right hand rail. I wouldn't normally put all of them there, but I wanted to just sort of show the breadth. So there's the company news, which you can click on, and it shows different news items with an image and a short description. You can loop through different ones. And I took some liberties from Patrick Rogers' code from the demo he did a few weeks ago, to like and unlike different news articles, as well as provide a link to the full article. Provided the ability to sort of view different tasks and provide different updates on that. So you can come in and you can edit the task and then reassign the data, the different items, an expense report that shows you sort of different things. It's doing some math in here to calculate all of this data, shows a running history. Not going to go through all of these. I did want to, one of the things that challenged me was dealing with form elements. So I wanted to provide a generic sample of how to deal with different form elements. So here's a sample for this with a bunch of text boxes, a multi-line text box, some numbers, a date picker, a time picker, as well as some input fields. So we've got a drop down. We've got some radio buttons and checkboxes, some toggles, and then some show hide functionality. So if you click the show card, it shows this card down here, you close it and it goes away. Everybody loves stock tickers and weather web parts. So we've got the Microsoft stock ticker, as well as the weather web part, or sorry, I keep saying web part. We've got the weather widget that will show the different weather in the different cities that you let you go there. And then finally, the one I'm going to look at today is the videos. I call this one product highlights. It really is a video here with a title as well as a description, and then the ability to click out to a different link. So you can rotate through the different videos in here and then play the video. Oops. Play the video right there in line inside the ACE. And you could use this for product imagery, product videos. You could also use this for learning. So if you had a video, like a training video, you could do that as well. But it really, provides sort of this rotating ability, but also the ability to show video right there in the screen. So I wanted to spend a few minutes and show sort of how I got from point A to point B. I know we've talked a lot about ACEs in the last few weeks. But like I said, I used the samples gallery, adaptivecards.io/samples, and you can see there's a huge number of samples in here. So there's calendar reminders, there's flight itineraries, and some of these are where I got my inspiration. So this particular one was the product video. And so if you haven't looked at this, it's definitely a great place to start for ACEs because it gives you an opportunity to see it working and then also see the guts behind it. So they provide the data structure here, and you can see there's a lot of data in there. I did take some liberties with the data and trimmed it down to just what I needed. And then the real nuts and bolts of it is the template. So you can see how they're writing the template JSON in here. And I took this and I copied and pasted it into my ACE. You'll also know, so this is the sample gallery. There's also the adaptive card designer, which if you don't know about it, it's a great place to do some work because you can click new card and you can find the item that you're looking for. And a lot of these samples are in there. And so you can see like product video. And so I added a title and a description. So you can actually see the code here. You can see the code here and you can sort of drag and drop different elements in here to get it looking how you want it to look before you even bring it into your ACE. So you can do this all on the web before you even start your code. Okay, so if we look at the video, the adaptive card video extension that I created, this is sort of the extension main function. So I'm setting things up. I'm setting up logging. I'm setting up SPFx, and then I call the service layer. As I said, all of this comes from static JSON, but I do have a get videos method in the service layer, which, as you can see, is just pulling the JSON file, but you could easily use this to pull videos or data directly from SharePoint with PnPjs. I am setting the collection of videos and the current index into the state. So I want it to start with the first one. If you wanted it to be random, you could just get a random number from the index of the videos and then set it here. And then I have to register the two cards. The first being the card right here, and the second being the quick view. So looking at the card view, and I click over here. So this is the card view. That card view has primary text and an image URL. Because I'm using the image card, I have primary text. So I'm setting it to the title of the video, and I'm setting the URL to the thumbnail of the video. The other thing that I'm setting is what happens when you click on it. And that's set here. And you do that by specify. So in this instance, I'm going to the quick view. So we have to use type of quick view and set the parameters of the registry ID that we're passing it to. So I'm setting that. So when you click on the card view, it opens the quick view. The quick view, which I'll move over here. So this would be our quick view, and you can see it's got little toggles to go back and forth. The video, the title, and then the description and the learn more link. So the data object here is just the video. So it's the video object that I created in the data model. And so we're passing that. So the first thing we do when we get the data is get it out of the array from the state. So we're getting this.state.video, and we're getting the current index. And then we're passing in the entire video object. We're getting the template, and I'll show you the template. And so again, I started this the exact same way I just showed you. I worked all of this out in the Adaptive Card Designer. I added in the forward and next buttons and so forth, and then I pulled it all over into my template here. One thing I did sort of run into is that the way the Adaptive Card Designer works, it has different functions for date time formatting and stuff like that. Those didn't work, so I ended up doing all my date time formatting when I did like news and stuff like that in my quickview.ts file, and then just passed it in as a string. So you can see here, I set up the arrows. So in this first row, I've got the column set that has 3 columns in it. I've got the image type with the SVG for the previous button, and then I have to tell it what to do when you click on it. So I'm using a select action, and it's of type action.submit. So it's a submit, you're clicking on it. And then I'm giving it an ID of previous and a title of previous. So this is what's going to happen. It's going to call this when I want to go back 1. The next column is where we put in the video, actually show the thumbnail. So we put the thumbnail video URL right here. And then I also want to put in the source for the media. So it's got the thumbnail URL, but it also needs the video URL. So we give it the MIME type. This is using an MP4, and then we pass in the URL. It's all in the video object that gets passed into the template. And then we pass in the title and the description. And then finally, another action set. So this is another button. This time we're going to do open URL. So you can see action open URL. And this will open the link to see more to a different asset. And then finally, we want the next button. And so the next button is over here. This has an SVG for the right chevron, and the action submit here is next. And these are important. These action submits are important because when we go back to our TS file, we have to tell it what to do with them when those are clicked. We have one on action method. So we have to get the data from the submit itself, and that's our action right here. And then we need to figure out what type of action it is. And so it's a submit. There's open URL action as well. So if we wanted to do something before we went to a different location, we could do that. But I'm grabbing the data out of it. And then the previous and the next buttons, these really get the current state, the current ID of the item that we're looking at. And then we're incrementing or decrementing the index based on that. And so we're getting the ID, we're getting the current number, we're checking. This just loops. So if you keep hitting forward and forward and forward, you'll end up going back to 0. So that's what this logic does right here. And then we're setting the ID on the state. And when the state changes, the layout will re-render. So we're doing that for forward and we're doing that for next. And honestly, I think that is about it. And so if you are interested in downloading this sample, it's in the repo. All 11 of these come with it. So you can use these as an opportunity to sort of kickstart your stuff or show somebody an example of what it is that you can do with your ACEs before you start writing any code. Then back to you, David.
Thanks,
Derek,
Derek.
I will jump here and ask a few questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, David. Just to give things additional context, don't stop sharing. I want to ask a few things. So there was a good question actually from Jim Duncan related on, do we have a managed metadata picker for the controls in the forms? And the thing is, these are not really controls. So just to be clear on what we're doing here, SharePoint Framework works as an orchestrator between, but then the UX layer is always rendered by the adaptive cards. An adaptive card is just it's basically a drop-down, or it's a selection thing, or in the form if you push out the form sample, Derek. So there's a certain set of card controls and all of that, but there is no managed metadata control because adaptive card is not managed metadata aware, because adaptive card is more, it's not a service aware. It's basically a data type aware. But of course, we would be able to fill in, for example, in a drop-down or in a radio box or in a checkbox, these values from the managed metadata from the SPFx side. So we're basically then building those values and the content in the template as part of the SPFx code. So just to kind of clarify on that one, because I think one of the things, especially Derek, this is absolutely awesome sample. But as we always show about that after card, we always like, hey, here's the design, and here's the design template, and here's the content JSON, and then we smash them together. And then quite often people ask the question, well, but my content is dynamic. How do I make that happen?
Yeah. So that's actually pretty interesting. So that's actually a different sample.
Sorry to put you in a spot, Derek,
yeah.
But I think it's super important to show that, because it is, of course, it's not like you're using a static content. Content is always dynamic.
So what I'm doing, this isn't a direct correlation, but it will actually show an example of it. It's not. Is it this one? It's this one. Okay. So in this instance, and I'll show you the example of it. This is the task one. So the task one, and I pulled this together for this reason. We can actually manipulate in code. We can manipulate the template. So if you, for instance, have dynamic data, if you have a list of questions or a list of things that you're reading out of SharePoint, or you're listing out, getting from the graph, you can actually get all that data. So what I did here to pull this data in and then create these cards was actually went and I created, because this is all just sort of feeds into the template as JSON. I ended up creating, I'll go down to the template method. Let me close this. So you can read the template in directly and make it an object in your TS file. And then you can manipulate the different aspects of it. So in this instance, I pulled together, I imported the template, and then I created an array. And inside the array, I'm pushing different objects. So a text box, a text label, an answer, a text box field, a date picker. So this is a little different, but if you could imagine each one of these objects right here, if we go up, actually has the properties that it would need if you just wrote it out in the JSON. So it's got an ID, it's got a value, and it's got a type. And so if you want to dynamically create your template, you can absolutely do that in your template method. And then in this instance, what I did was I took the template, I grabbed the body, and I grabbed the first element in the body, and there happens to be a column in there. And then I appended this array of items into these items. So it gets sort of stuffed in there dynamically. So if you could sort of use your imagination here, and you could go out and you could read a bunch of questions that have text boxes or radio buttons or what have you from the graph or from a SharePoint list, you could then stuff them in here. If you want a different, if you're interested in a different sort of real working example, Julie and I built the COVID attestation app, which we demoed in this call a few months ago. And that's actually doing exactly that for the ACE. So I can post the link to that repo, and you can see how we did it there.
Excellent. Thanks, Derek. And sorry for putting you on a spot, because
no
it's just that we understand how we built the content and a template dynamically based on the content what we have, because that's the key here. The SharePoint framework is not responsible of the UX, it's responsible for the so-called orchestration between the data and the adaptive card UX, because adaptive cards, they need to be filled in and coordinated by some object. Is it a bot, or in this case, it's of course a SharePoint framework component, which is behind the scenes working here. So really, really good, really awesome stuff. And thank you for showcasing how it's actually being done. So really good stuff.
All right,
cool,
thanks.
David.
Excellent.
Back to you. Sorry for mixing and jumping in.
No, this is great. We're ahead of schedule, and it was good clarity and everything. So fantastic work. And just to emphasize, these are all free, 11 amazing aces. I mean, enough to just jumpstart you initially. So don't hesitate to take advantage of them. And again, if you have any questions, they are in the repo, so you can post issues with questions, and we will be there to assist you. All right, our last demo for today, Amory Thomas, an Application Secrets Expiration Web part. Amory, take it away.
Yes, thank you, David. Hello, everyone. So my name is Amory Thomas. I'm a Microsoft 365 developer at Avanade, France. You can contact me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Application Secrets Expiration Web part. So just to give you a bit of context on why did I build this web part. So basically, when you build applications, you may need to use Azure AD app registration, for example, to get specific permission or to authenticate your users. And for, each of these Azure AD applications can have multiple certificates or secrets as credentials. And in the end, if you have a lot of application, you may have a lot of secrets and a lot of certificates to monitor, and it can be difficult for you to know when a specific secret is going to expire or certificate. And that's where this web part can help you. Because what it will do, it will display all Azure AD application secrets and certificates along with their expiration date in a list. So to do that, I'm using the Graph API to get the applications information, the MS Graph client to connect easily to the MS Graph, and finally some React controls to display the items. So let's move on to the demo part. So here I have my web part. So as you can see, I have all my secrets and certificates. For each item, you have the application ID. If you click on the link, you can directly access the application page on the Azure portal. You have the application display name, the number of days left before the expiration, the credential type, and the exact expiration date. You have the pagination component to browse through the pages. And finally, the search component to search for a specific type of credential or a specific expiration date. Oops. Here. You can also choose different settings from the property pane. So for example, you can select a grouped column. So here, if I choose application ID, I will have all my items grouped by application. And you can also choose to display only secrets and certificates that will expire soon. So if I do that, I will only have my secrets or certificates, actually here only my secrets, that will expire within the next 30 days. And the last setting that I'm using today, but I'm not sure that it's going to be very useful for you, is to choose to display, not to display the real application, but only sample data that I defined on a JSON file. So now let's move on to the code part of the demo. So first, what I want to do is to get my application. So to do that, I'm using the Graph client to get my applications. I want to select my application ID, my application display name, but also my password credential, which will contain all the information that I need about my secrets, and key credentials that is going to contain all the information that I need regarding my certificates. So as you can see here, I'm not getting all the application. I will only get the top 100 applications. So I guess my next PR will be to improve that to make sure that I'm getting each and every applications. But anyway, once I have retrieved my applications, I can start building the items that I'm going to display on my list. So to do that, for each password credential, I will create a new object. So with the application ID, application display name, and all the column of the list. And of course, I'm going to do the same for my certificates. And once I have all my items, we can move on to the rendering part of the web part. So I'm using a list view component, a pagination component, and a search component. So you can see that I'm not using a search component included in the list view component. I'm doing that because I wanted to make sure that the search results that I'm getting were from all the items and not only from the items that are displayed on the current page. And that's it for the demo. So you can find a sample on the GitHub repository. And I wanted to mention this great article from Russ Rimmerman, which I got the inspiration from to create this web part. So that's it for me. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Amory. Very, very cool stuff.
Just to call out from a SharePoint engineering side of the house, we've been internally pushing on potentially having extensibility in the tenant admin UX, and this would be a perfect candidate for that kind of a page. So you would be able to then put this web part in the SharePoint or in the Office 365 tenant admin. So because of course that's a kind of an administrative view, and you don't want to expose that to everybody. So, but really, really cool stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, excellent use. I mean, you could also use the obviously the site collection app catalogs to isolate some of this stuff for that exact purpose. So great point, Bess. I was thinking the same thing. All right, let's share out the demo slides and wrap up. Excellent. All right. Well, again, thank you all of our presenters today. Derek, Sudharsan, and Amory, fantastic job. And thank you for all of the PnP team sharing on the updates for the initiatives. The recording will be available within 24 hours at the Microsoft Community YouTube channel, aka.ms/m365pnp/videos. You can always follow us on Twitter at Microsoft365Deb and at Microsoft365PnP. The next Viva Connections and SPFx call will be 2 weeks from today. Same bat time, same bat channel, December 2nd at 7 a.m. And the M365 general call will be next week, November 25th. Yes, for those in the States, that is Thanksgiving, but we are still going to have a call as we are a global community. And this is going to be a fun one, by the way, because we're going to try to have a community-wide pull request session. So if you've never done a pull request, we're going to show you a really, really cool tip on how you can do it all through the browser with one little amazing keystroke. So if you're intrigued, come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. November 25th at 7 a.m. Pacific time. You can get all of the invites at aka.ms/m365pnp. There are a number of additional community calls as well. The platform call, which happens every Tuesday, aka.ms/m365-dev-call, and a number of other community calls for adaptive cards, the Microsoft Identity Platform, Office add-ins, Power Apps, and then the 2 bi-weekly PnP calls that we just discussed. You can get to them all at aka.ms/m365pnp. Thank you, everyone, again, for making this the best community in technology. Have a great week.
Thanks, everybody. Awesome job, David, as well. Thank you.
Thank you.